Kareem Daoud. His name is Kareem Daoud. A widely beloved 20-year resident of Hunterdon County was going for his work permit reauthorization when he was detained and is still in detainment because of ICE's new direction under Trump. Tens of thousands of Hunterdon County residents will be losing their access to Medicaid, SNAP, and Medicare, just to name a few essential services that are cut down by the 2025 Budget Reconciliation Bill, also known as the Big Beautiful Bill, by Trump. And at schools across Hunterdon County, we now hear the assaults on the core American principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion coming out of the mouths of the children because of the hateful, divisive, and politically motivated culture war launched by Trump. Tonight we are going to go over these three topics in a moderated panel discussion. My name is Guy Citron, Political Action Committee Chairman for the Hunterdon County NAACP, and I will be your MC for the evening. Kindly allow me to call my mentors on the committee, First Vice President Mark Moten and Administrator Kenya Brown, to help me get what NAACP National and what we hope to be a county-wide town hall series started. What do you think about that?
Thank you, Guy. Appreciate it. Again, my name is Mark Moulton, First VP of NAACP of Hunterdon County. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank a number of individuals for this event today. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, here we go. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. Much better? Okay, good, good. All right, so I'm going to run this again. So Mark Moulton, First VP, NAACP of Hunterdon County. I'm going to take this opportunity to thank a number of individuals who made this happen today. So just bear with me. First, I'd like to give a high thank you to Reverend Amy Lincoln and the Flemington Presbyterian Church for allowing us to use their facility. So thank you very much. I would also like to thank the Borough of Flemington. In addition, our partners at NAACP National and NAACP of New Jersey State. Thank you very much for the support that they provided us thus far. I will also like to take an opportunity to recognize our Hunterdon branch of NAACP members and volunteers. None of this could be possible without them. So thank you very much for the NAACP team and the executive committee. Also like to thank the Harvest family, Successful Center, also Wind of the Spirit, New Jersey, as well as, and most importantly, I would like to thank everybody who's attending today. I also want to give a quick shout out. In the other room, we do have an NAACP registration table. So please, if you get a moment, please register. It's important that we keep our numbers up to keep our organization operational. In addition, we also have a donation as well. So whatever you can give, we will accept it. Thank you very much, guys, for your time.
Good evening. My name is Kenya Brown. I am one of the founding members of NAACP Hunterdon County. I've also previously served, thank you, also previously served as recording secretary, do a little bit of assistant treasurer, as well as I've been a PAC member for a while now. So thank you all for being here. Please know that we offered panel spots to elected officials from both major parties. We thank tonight's panelists who made the time. Please rise and take your seat when you hear your name. And obviously, I'm going to introduce our panelists if they're in the audience or not up here yet. And audience, we just ask that you please hold your applause until I have called all of the panelists. Panelist number 1, U.S. NJ 10 Representative, Ms. LaMonica McLeaver. Panelist number 2, the Mayor of Newark, Brick City, my original hometown, Mr. Raj J. Baraka. Number 3.
It's tight up there. Sorry, folks.
Number 3, Flemington Borough Councilman, Mr. Tony Parker.
Come on up.
Our 4th panelist, Fountain Baptist Church pastor and Hunterdon County NAACP Education Committee co-chair, Mr. Vernon Williams. And our 5th panelist is NAACP National Senior Director of Advocacy, Mr. Wisdom Cole. Let's hear it for our panel. And please feel free to stand and give them a very warm welcome. Thank you. And now let's begin the opening remarks. Pastor Amy Lincoln, please lead the way.
Grace and peace to you. Welcome to each and every one of you and our distinguished panel. We welcome you and our moderator. I'm the Reverend Amy Lincoln. I'm the pastor here, and we are overjoyed that you are here to stand up and to connect and to make a difference. As Christians of the Presbyterian Church USA flavor, there are 3 elements in our call to follow Jesus by loving our neighbor, the celebration of diversity as a God-given gift, which makes us stronger as we listen and learn from each other. Upholding equity, recognizing that each person is a beloved child of God with a story we need to hear and talents to share to help us shine brighter. And the gospel priority of inclusion, as reflected in Jesus' own ministry, as he ate with and healed and included all sorts of people, especially the marginalized and vulnerable, showing us that we can only know the full truth when we value all voices at the table. So we welcome you with open arms and invite you to worship with us. I just have to say that. 9:30 on Sunday mornings. You can find a link on our webpage. But I encourage you in this heat to take care of yourself. It's hot. And so if you need water, if you need air conditioning, go out into the fellowship hall where those things are available. There is also a restroom out this door. Watch your step. To the left, there's a restroom. If you go up the stairs, there's a restroom. And for women only, there's a restroom if you walk straight through the fellowship hall and down the ramp. So make yourselves at home, and please find me if you have any questions. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Danielle Combs, and I am the Executive Director of the NAACP New Jersey State Conference. To our esteemed NAACP Hunterdon County Branch President Brad Powell and Political Action Chair Guy Citron, thank you so much for hosting this important town hall and inviting us to be here today. To all leaders, allies, and freedom fighters, good evening. Good evening. And thank you for being here. I bring greetings to you this evening from the officers, executive committee, and members of the NAACP New Jersey State Conference, and a special greeting from the NAACP New Jersey State Conference President Richard Smith. For 116 years, the NAACP has been the largest and the oldest, the baddest and the boldest, the most loved and the most hated, the most feared and revered, the often imitated but never duplicated civil rights organization in the nation. I stand before you today at the NAACP Hunterdon County Fierce Advocacy and Action Town Hall to speak to you on a matter that remains urgent today as it was in 1909, the importance of policy initiatives. We gather in the spirit of our ancestors who dared to imagine freedom in the face of chains. We gather in the footsteps of giants W.E.B. Du Bois, Ida B. Wells, Thurgood Marshall, and Ella Baker, who knew that progress would not come without purpose, and purpose would not come without a plan. That plan is what we call policy initiatives. Our policy initiatives are not a list of demands. They are a declaration of dignity and a blueprint for liberation. It is our collective commitment to build a world where Black lives not only matter, but thrive. Our policy initiatives are rooted in the understanding that systemic racism is not accidental, and neither must our resistance to it be. Our initiatives must be as intentional, strategic, and unrelenting as the systems that have oppressed us. We need policy initiatives because in education, our children are still criminalized instead of nurtured. In healthcare, we are more likely to die from preventable diseases. In housing, redlining may be illegal, but its legacy lives on. In the economy, the racial wealth gap remains a national shame. In the justice system, our communities are over-policed and underprotected. In democracy, voter suppression wears new masks, but it has the same old mission, to silence our voice. Policy initiatives are necessary because equality delayed is equality denied, and we will not wait quietly. At the NAACP New Jersey State Conference, we believe that every policy, law, every budget, every ballot must answer one question. Does it advance justice for Black people? If it does not, it must be challenged. And if it does, it must be championed. If we don't have a seat at the table, we are more than likely on the menu. Our policy initiatives are intersectional. They recognize the diversity within our community, Black women, Black LGBTQ individuals, Black immigrants, Black youth, and our Black elders. We are not a monolith, but we are a movement. The time is now. This is not the time for symbolic progress. This is not the time for empty promises. This is the time for action, for accountability, and for transformation. We must build coalitions, hold elected officials accountable, host town halls, and invest in our communities, and push for policies that close the gaps and break the chains. So as the town hall begins today and you engage in conversations concerning Black communities, nationwide, and the urgent threats to healthcare, education, food access, and more, ask yourself, will you stand with us? Will you speak boldly for justice? Will you fight for a future where Black people can dream freely and live fully? Because freedom is not a gift, it's a right. And rights must be protected, defended, and expanded. So let's rise together. So let's rise together with purpose, with power, and with a plan, and see it through. Because when we fight, we win. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Christina Middlebrooks, and I am a 20-year-old rising junior Bachelor's of Arts candidate in Princeton University's School of Public Policy and International Affairs with a minor in Global Health Policy and Global Health Studies while on a pre-medical track. I aspire to be a physician influencing global health policy to create sustainable solutions for vulnerable communities. I proudly serve as secretary for the NAACP New Jersey State Conference Youth and College Division, as well as president for the newly reactivated Princeton University College Chapter. And on behalf of our president, Ryan Bates, we are proud or happy to be here today. I'm also here with one of our amazing Youth Council presidents, Ms. Ifeoluwa Joseph.
Hello all, I am Ifeoluwa Joseph, or Ife, President of the Montclair NAACP Youth Council. I'm a 15-year-old rising sophomore at Montclair High School, and in 3 years, I would like to start working towards a PhD in medical sciences and a minor in computer science to set a foundation for a career in software and hardware development that encourages social good, something I've already started pursuing through entrepreneurship.
Today, I'm here to speak about the power of New Jersey youth and the urgent need to protect our future. Fear from ICE actions and anti-immigration policies is silencing young voices, keeping them from civic engagement and harming their mental health. No student should have to choose between speaking up or feeling safe. The big, beautiful bill would cut public school funding and restrict free school meals. For many youth, that is the only meal they get each day. Less funding means fewer teachers, larger classes, and fewer after-school programs. Hungry kids can't learn, and underfunded schools can't thrive. Attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion strip away scholarships, multicultural programs, and safe spaces for marginalized students. Because of attacks on DEI, they spread ignorance and erase contributions of diverse communities to our state and our country. Today's discussion encourages you not only to fight for our future, but to mentor, uplift, empower youth to take action. Whether by protesting, calling representatives, or registering voters, help ignite the power of youth today so we can become fierce advocates in action tomorrow. Our future depends on it. Thank you.
Good evening, Hunterdon County. All right, I'm so happy to see all of you. This all started because as I travel around Hunterdon County, I meet you wonderful people. You are the good people, okay? And we are the good people. Applaud yourself, right? We are the good people. All right, the catalyst for this event was the observation that during the last election, 86 million people, 86 million registered voters did not vote, right? 36% of the registered voters did not vote. So we have to ask ourselves, why? Right? Why was this I call it apathy, this lack of motivation to come out and vote? And as we know, it was a decision, and decisions have consequences. Elections have consequences. And we're dealing with those consequences presently, right? And some of them are very unpleasant. All right, I'm feeling some unpleasant consequences. When I look at black women, 300,000 black women from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics have lost their job just recently. All right? And we know these are troubling times. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. 90% of the danger lies below the water surface. So we're only seeing the top 10% right now. I would guess, a lot more trouble to be had. So we need to come together. We can do great things together. I can't do great things as an individual. We've been sold the idea of rugged individualism. And that works if you're a billionaire. But I'm not a billionaire. I'm an average retired school teacher. All right? I can't farm for myself. Oh, thank you. All right. If I had to depend on my own farming, I would starve. I go home and I want to turn the lights on. That electricity, I need utility workers to make it happen. I need police officers. I need firemen. So I need everyone, and we all need each other, right? And that is the foundation of civic engagement. So that's the purpose of this meeting tonight, is to try and unravel this mystery of how to get people motivated to take part in their governance, in their community. Because I got this position because I wanted to build a better community. I wanted a community where everyone felt invited, included. All right? And that's what I'm trying to achieve. So when I see all of you, and some of you, I see my community members. And I want this to be the best community. I want people to think of Hunterdon County and say, hey, this is a good place to be, good place to live, and we relate as a community. All right, so civic engagement. And civic engagement is the foundation. Now, it could be political. It could be in a group like the NAACP. Please join us. We are open to everyone. It started off as a multiracial group founded by black and white Americans. All right? It could be one of the other groups in the hall. But join, take part, reclaim our community and our country. They've had a loud bullhorns spewing bad nonsense. And we got to fight back because, again, we are the cool kids at the party. All right? And I've met some cool kids. All right? You guys, we are the cool kids. The ones that care. Right? The foundation of caring for one another. All right? And that to me is the greatest personality trait. The greatest thing you got formed is if you care for someone else. All right, thank you. All right, now, thank you for your time, and thank you for coming out and caring. All right, I have the honor and pleasure of introducing Larry Ham. He's the chairman and one of the founding members of the People's Organization of Progress. I have almost a little less than a 40-year working relationship with Larry. We started off at Rutgers, the Rainbow Coalition, Jesse Jackson's campaign. We organized Princeton for the South Africa divestment movement. And I admire Larry. All right, he is a historian, he's a scholar. But what I really admire about Larry Ham is his consistency. All right? He's a progressive. And he takes a stand. And I've learned this. It's either right or wrong. When I hear people say it's complicated, I know you're trying to snow me. My decision making is right or wrong. All right? The how, the implementation is complicated. But it's right or wrong, right? There's no gray area. And I like doing right. And everything I've heard historically from Larry and his organization is he's been on the right side of the argument. All right, so everybody give a nice, warm welcome for Larry Ham, our moderator tonight. All right, this is one of the good people right here. All right, we're all good.
Good evening, and let's give a hand to the panelists that we've been waiting for tonight who just came in. Mayor Ross Baraka, give him a big hand. Good evening, Hunterdon, Big Sky County. Good evening. I drove up here. I sent a text. I said, I feel like I'm in Pennsylvania. not in Essex County. But it's wonderful to be here with all you citizen activists tonight. Somebody say power to the people.
Power to the people.
Say it again.
Power to the people.
One more time.
Power to the people.
I'm so glad to be here with you tonight, that you would invite a street corner agitator like me to be with this distinguished panel that we have tonight. And we're here just after the eve of the anniversary, the 60th anniversary of the passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And here we are in the 21st century, fighting essentially the same battles that Dr. King and others fought to get the Voting Rights Act passed. We find ourselves today faced with overwhelming voter suppression. We find ourselves faced with malevolent efforts to gerrymander districts so that politicians can choose their districts rather than the people in their districts choosing the politicians. But I don't know about you, we are not going to let them take our voting rights that we paid for with lives and with blood. Let's give all the organizers who put this program together, give them a big hand tonight. They put it together with such care. I mean, Guy was calling me at 11 o'clock at night, making sure everything was all right. Give Guy a hand, give him a big hand. Making sure that everything was all right. And I just love the young people that were on this stage. Give them a big hand who spoke, the young people. And I please forgive me, Congresswoman, I know she's in your shadow, but I'm a dad, and I have to say my daughter is here, Imani Ham. She works for Congresswoman MacGyver. I'm so glad to see my daughter here tonight. I mean, I'm a father. You think I'm gonna get up here and not mention my own daughter? But I saw all these young people speaking today, and they went to Princeton and they went to Rutgers. And this is wonderful. But in a nation this rich, none of our young people should graduate with $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 in student loans. If we can bail out the banks and corporations, we can abolish student debt for all of our young people. This country is rich enough to provide a free college education to all of the young people that want to go to college. We can do that. We're rich enough to do that. Just like we're rich enough not to have this vast disparity in wealth, where 8 people in the United States today have more wealth than 60% of the population. We're in the richest country in the world, and yet we have people living in poverty. We have a whole class of people called the working poor. They work 40 hours a week, don't make enough money to pay their rent. The federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. You can't rent a 1-bedroom apartment on that wage anywhere in the United States. We don't need a minimum wage. We need a living wage for all working people in this country. I know, Guy, this was not on the script, but you're going to learn to give me a mic. I just feel so moved by your presence here tonight. Brothers and sisters, we live in dark times. I'm 71 years old. I've seen 9 presidents, and I've never seen a president like this. I've never seen an administration like this. I've never seen a situation where people feel so hopeless. But I'm here to tell you tonight, we survived Nixon, We survived Reagan. We survived 2 Bushes. We're going to survive Donald Trump. We're going to survive Donald Trump. And we have to fight. I'm 71 years old. I retired 4 years ago, Mayor. Been retired 4 years. I'm on Social Security. Thank God for Social Security. You know, we're coming up on the anniversary of Social Security. And do you know, you remember it was something that was passed in the 30s. And everybody takes Social Security for granted. And if you hear some people talk about it, you think that everybody was for Social Security. But when Social Security was established, there was a big fight in Congress. They did not want to create Social Security. They didn't want to create unemployment insurance. They didn't want a minimum wage. They didn't want bank regulation. But because there was a movement in this country for economic justice, those things came into being. And there are people today who are talking about they're going to privatize our Social Security. They're going to gamble with our Social Security on Wall Street. I can't say that word here in church. We're not going to let them take our Social Security. But let me do what I was appointed to do. Because we have a very distinguished panel tonight. They've already been introduced to you and you know them. They are all servants of the people, all dedicated their lives to try to uplift humanity. And it's an honor for me to be on this panel with them. So, the NAACP and the organizers of this program tonight carved out 3 issues for us to discuss. ICE and immigration rights, the 2025 budget reconciliation bill, its cuts to essential services, and the assault on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we're going to give all of our panelists ample time to address all of these issues tonight. These are experienced speakers. I'm not going to lay down any ground rules. They know what to do, and they know why they're here, and they know what the purpose of our program is tonight. So I would like to open the discussion with our panel tonight and ask for their perspective on the current crisis with ICE and immigration rights and how they feel the immigration policy of the current administration impacts them, their communities, their cities, and the state and the nation. So I'll begin on my left. I always begin on the left. I'll begin on my left with our great Congresswoman from the 10th Congressional District of New Jersey, Congresswoman Monica MacIver.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So good evening, everyone. I want to thank the NAACP of Hunterdon County and all of you for being here. To the pastor of this church, thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. It's a pleasure to be here. It took me a while to get here, lots of traffic, but I'm super excited to be here. There is a lot going on, obviously. Very much a sad time for our country. We are under a democracy crisis, a constitutional crisis. Literally, we just see it each and every day coming out of this administration. And ICE falls underneath the Department of Justice, of Homeland Security as well. These departments, these agencies, have literally been weaponized by Donald Trump. They're his personal attackers, his personal security. They really handle all of the dirty work of this president and this administration. Literally everything you could imagine. We see it each and every day. There is an extreme crisis, immigration crisis here in this country. We know that our immigration policies needed some work. We knew that. It needed work. We needed to revamp that. Democrats knew that, when they were in charge. We needed to do some work around it. And I won't go back and forth about how we got here, but it shouldn't be this way today, the way that it's happening. We literally have masked folks running up on residents, citizens, attacking them, not identifying themselves. Literally, you do not even know who is knocking at your door at this point. On top of that, we have these detention centers across the country who they should not be open. Especially the ones here in New Jersey. We have a facility in Elizabeth, and we have a facility at Delaney Hall, and God knows Delaney Hall should not be open at all. And for many reasons, because they're not up to code, they don't have the capacity to be operating as a detention center, and there's so many different examples that we have that has happened at this facility and the Elizabeth facility that they should be closed. And so that's the piece on the detention centers. Then we have the piece on this president just wanting to tell people who are here on approved status that they have to get out. We have so many students here who are attending school who are research scientists. They are studying infectious diseases. They're here studying on a grant who have been given by this government approval to be here. This administration decides you can't be here anymore. So they tell these folks, you got 48 hours to get out of this country, not notifying the college, the university. I mean, nothing. That is happening. Then we have the situation that people who have been approved status, temporary protection status to be here in this country, they've been here for more than 20 years in some cases. People who've come here from other countries like Haiti when they had their earthquake, others who came here because their country might have been having a war, but this government has told them they can be here. They came here, they started a life, they brought a home, they've been working, they own a business, and the government comes and tells them, get out. We do not give you approval status anymore. You have to go. All while then bringing a bunch of white Afrikaners here, giving them the ability to come here, welcoming them, actually going to pick them up, giving them a personal ride to the United States and getting them set on their feet, claiming they're running from a genocide. So this is what we are dealing with this cruel president and his administration. Everything that they do is based in one center focus, and that is to be cruel. I always say they have a cruelty measurement in their offices. They look to see how cruel they can be. How cruel will this be? Let's do it. And this is what they do. On top of that, the bigger thing is immigration is a trickle-in effect in our communities. I think New Jersey has been extremely clear that we do not want ICE here. We don't want them here in our state. And it's not because LaMonica MacGyver said it. It is what the people of New Jersey said. Trump's hateful immigration policy started attacking us 48 hours into office. He came here into a small community in the city of Newark, had ICE raid a food depot where people are working. There's no criminals there, by the way. Harassing citizens there, out in the middle of the street. School is letting out with big rifles, men dressed in, bulletproof vests, scaring the crap out of residents. And because of that, we've seen kids stop coming to school. We've seen people stop showing up to the doctor. We've seen people stop coming out in the street to shop and, support the businesses. People are scared to death. And the more they wage this type of war and behavior onto our American cities across the nation, people become more and more afraid. And then you have some people who are standing up, who are saying, we're not going to take this. You're not going to do this to our neighbors. The whole picture of them painting that they're going after criminals and all of this stuff, no, they're not. There's so many people being deported and arrested and detained who do not have any criminal record. Right. Let's not even mention them going into courts to get people while they're there for their immigration appointment. or their court to go through the process to become a legal citizen here. They are cruel people, and with that, I will pause so my other panelists can get a word in.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be down in Flemington again. You know, I appreciate Guy and NAACP and all the folks for putting this together, for sure. So I'm happy to be here with the congressman and the distinguished panel we have here. Larry Ham, of course. You know, ultimately, what we're witnessing all over TV right now reminds me of, you know, I wasn't around, but what was happening in the civil rights movement when they were showing these videos of people being beaten and arrested all over TV, and people were witnessing it and watching it, and were going to fight and protest. And so this is what's happening around the country. All of the videos and the TVs and the phones that are out that are showing us in real time what is happening, how grave and disgusting and terrible this is. People are becoming outraged, right? And I think that part of it, they are underestimating, that folks are seeing, despite the lies that they're telling about people being criminals, they can see for themselves that they're grabbing people off of farms, that they're pulling people out of their cars, that they're grabbing people out of immigration hearings, that they're running into stores. In fact, the majority of the people that they've arrested or detained or harassed, some even died in custody of ICE, right? You can see, or being sent to penal colonies in countries they don't even originate from, right? Or they're using the dollars, taxpayer dollars, illegally to build this alligator Alcatraz thing down in Florida. This is bizarre, and people are observing it and they're seeing it, and I think it's causing folks to have a little bit of political education as this thing is taking place. And it's really our job to really take it to the next level, to give them real information about what's happening, because this has nothing to do with immigration. I think a lot of people have been fooled and they're still arguing about this. That's absolutely nothing to do with immigration. We should not even have a discussion with them about this and immigration policy at the same time, because this has nothing to do with immigration. What this really is their ability to deport people that they do not like out of this country, particularly black and brown people in this country. They're pushing. There are all kind of immigrants from all over the world who come into the United States. You do not see them being slammed on the street on Channel 4, 7, and 2, or Instagram or TikTok. That's not what's happening. You see the neighborhoods that they're going in, very specific and particular communities that they're raiding, that they're harassing, really trying to play into America's long history of racism, trying to play into that and get people to say, oh, these people are dangerous, these people are criminals. And you don't even have to know that, because when you see them in these communities, you automatically think they're dangerous and criminals anyway. And so at the base of that, our ability to fight these notions, these ideas, is what we really should be trying to do. Fight this idea, this concept that we should violate everybody's constitutional rights. That we can identify anybody we want and take away their due process. That it's okay because we're not talking about you, but we could take away his 14th Amendment, his due process, the 5th Amendment, take away his due process. We can do all of these things. Don't give them a day in court. Don't give them a jury of their peers. Don't allow them to contest their confinement in front of a jury or in front of a judge. We can allow them to do this to these people because it's not us. But what that means is a slippery slope. It's eroding our constitutional rights and democracy for all people, because once you allow them to do to one person, you've allowed them to do it to you. Right. Because now they've set precedent to do these things to anybody that they want. So if they say, oh, we want to violate these people's 14th Amendment rights and take away their right to be citizens, whether they were born or naturalized in the United States or not, and we allow them to do it to everybody else, you've in essence allowed them to do it to you as well. And that's what people need to understand clearly. This is not really a fight about murderers and rapists and so forth and so on. This is a fight about the Constitution of the United States. Right. That's clearly what it's about. Right. Now I'm going to end there, but ultimately I don't know what people's positions are about immigration. I can tell you what mine are and tell you why I think it's important and what the Congresswoman said affects our community, clearly, I don't know what it is, but I know what we can't disagree on. We can't disagree on the fact that the Constitution needs to be protected, that we have to stand up for democracy, that we have to be together, whether you're independent, Republican, Democrat, whatever you are. Your job is to protect democracy and the foundation of the Constitution, because America is not America without the Constitution.
That's right.
Period. It is something else. We can disagree on that. We can disagree on other things, but you can't disagree on that. That is clear. And we need to be fighting to protect and uphold all folks. No, if they step foot in this country, they have the right to the Constitution and the right to the rights that people died and fought for here. Besides that, there's nobody in this room whose ancestors didn't come here from somewhere else, unless you're a Cherokee or Arawat or a Taino or a Blackfeet. Your family came here undocumented. Either that or they came at the bottom of a ship in chains to be bought and sold like chattel in Virginia and Mississippi and Louisiana and Alabama and in Brazil and Dominican Republic. That's what happens. So there's only two categories of folks unless you're native here. So ultimately, nobody's off the hook here. Everybody is related when we're talking about this.
You two are my heroes. Keep going. So I'm going to bring it down to a local level, right? Mm-hmm. Because in Flemington, I'm the president of the council in Flemington, and just a little bit of history. I had no political aspirations at all, ever. It just wasn't one of the things I wanted, right? But I fell into it, and as I started getting my footing, and I started seeing things, it was like, oh, wait a minute. It's time to fight. Right? Mm-hmm. It's time to clean house. So think about this. In Flemington, the borough of Flemington, which has 4,092 people, a little bit more, has 38% Hispanic and Latino community. 38%. And here's the bigger thing of this. When I was actually walking the streets when I first got into this whole political thing, I just noticed in Flemington, because we were new to Flemington, I just noticed that the Hispanic and Latinos were just, when they passed you, they wouldn't speak and they had their head down. And I was like, well, what the hell? Excuse me. What the heck? So it was, and I just kept thinking, whoa, wait a minute here. This is not working. The next thing I did is I went into Consul and I said, how many of you guys have actually gone into a Hispanic market, a Hispanic store, anything? Because when I walked in, I said, does anybody else come in here? It's like, no. These people have been living here for 20 years. 20 years, the residents of 20 years, and have never stepped in one of those stores. What does that tell you? Move forward. Now we've got ISIS coming in, right? And what I tried to do before ISIS come in is start to build a community of inclusion. I ran an inclusion, and I keep working with inclusion. And that is that I wanted everyone to have a seat at the table and everyone to have a voice. Mm-hmm. To this day, that's my stronghold. I fight for it. I keep fighting for it, and I will continue to fight for it. And we were making progress. We were making progress little by little. Now, don't get me wrong. It wasn't overnight. It just took a while. So people began to have trust and felt more comfortable about coming out and mingling with the general population, for lack of a better word. Then ICE comes along, and all that went away. All that went away. So much so that ICE, they actually had a raid here in Flemington twice. They had it during when kids were getting off the school bus. One was, I think they were getting off the school bus, I think they were getting on the school bus. I can't remember the situation. It's called AGE. It just pisses me off. But anyway, so the, the parents are now scared. So they had people go pick up their kids because they didn't want them to ride on the bus for fear that ICE was going to take over the bus and take the kids. Not only that, can you imagine a kid coming home from school and not seeing their parent and knowing that their parent has been hauled off someplace and they have no idea where they are? No idea where they are. Then, to multiply that, they even have a code so that when people go shopping, so when they're out of food in the whole bit, they have a code. So if I'm going to go to Walmart, I will have a code saying all clear, no police, no da-da-da, and they go in. And here's the confusion. Let's be very clear on this. Here's the confusion. There's ICE and there's the police. The police have no jurisdiction on ICE at all. They just don't. They can't do anything. They don't even know about it until it's absolutely done. So my whole thinking on this is, and I think you're right, what you said about immigrants, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with we don't want brown and black people here. Now we can't pick on the blacks, so we'll get the brown out of here first, right? And that's the crux of the problem. I do believe, I really, 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 really do believe that this is going to come to a rolling boil where people get so mad enough, for lack of a better word that I really want to say, that people are going to fight. But here's who have got to fight. Besides us in this room, it's got to be the young people who are fighting as well. Those are the people who have got to fight. Because we fought, they've got to get involved. Here's my problem with this. Here's the challenge. And it really is, and I had this discussion with someone the other day. Here's the challenge with this. I live with my parents. I have an allowance. I can do this, I can do that. I don't feel the pain that you feel. I don't feel the pain that you feel. And for me, I just think the kids need to understand this is what they're going to be left with. What are you going to do when you become a parent and you have kids and the environment's taken away and people are not picking crops and people are doing this and people are doing this and the world's become divided again? What are they going to do, right? So I think the whole thing around this immigration, I do understand that there are some things that need to be done. Undoubtedly, there are some things that need to be done. But they don't have to be done this way. And the other thing, it deserves to have a conversation where there are people who are experts that can help with that. And that's not only here, but that's in other countries. I do believe that it's not pay to stay here, but it's staying here to help, to grow the country, to make the country better. I still look at, think about this. When the farmers got really ticked off, the ones who own lots of property and their crops weren't being picked, all of a sudden things were eased a little bit in terms of immigration for this type of work, right? So it's picking and choosing what I want, because these people who are being arrested in the whole bit, I know that in Flemington, in this case, were not criminals. They were not criminals. They were, maybe they were one day they were in a drunken stupor and they did something stupid, but not criminal. But they picked them up for those types of things. So the other part of that really, really saddens me, when we brought this up about, we do have a person that sits on the council who is the first Hispanic to sit on Flemington Council, and I'm so proud of him, who took a stance. And he actually came out and he's talked about, this is how people feel, this is what we need to do, council, I need your help. The mayor said not one thing, not one word, and it wasn't about Democrat or Republican or independent, it was about human rights. It's about being human. Mm-hmm. It's about at least acknowledging, yes, there is a problem, and yes, here's an olive branch, like nothing. And I think that is that. So this person's on the council. How do you survive? How do you keep that respect for that position if you don't even acknowledge that I represent my people and you are not even acknowledging that there's a problem that exists. So when I look at this more just not on a national level, but on a local level, because my job as president of the council is to make sure people are safe, make sure that people are included, make sure that people have a voice, and make sure that people raise their voice, and make sure people push back. That's my job.
So first, let me make sure I introduce myself to you. I am the Reverend Vernon Williams. I'm a 22-year resident here in Raritan Township, and I want to thank the Hunterdon County NAACP for inviting me to be a part of this panel. Staying on the local level, I've been invited to be a part of this because I am running for a seat on the Board of Education for the Hunterdon Central Regional High School. And as I listen to the conversation, obviously I agree with everything that has been said here about ICE and immigration and what has gone and what has taken place. I think that as we look on the local level, especially with education, and this board of the Hunterdon Central Regional High School, that we need to make sure that we have individuals in place who will stand up to, because it's not elite, that it's going to be very soon that they're going to be trying to get into the high school. We need to make sure we have voices on the high school board that says we are not going to stand for this. Right now, you have a board. You have a board that I can almost guarantee you that if they attempt to come into the high school, there will be no pushback. And so, so it is going to be important for you to get involved, to vote. You can come and talk to me afterwards. Again, Reverend Vernon Williams, I have two wonderful individuals who are also running with me, Nikki Bryce and Maristella Wallace. And I'll guarantee you, stand up, stand up. Nikki, Maristella, stand up, please. It is important. It is important. It starts with education. If you just if you listen to what has been transpiring with our board already, they have agreed with everything that has gone on, with this administration. We need to understand that as we talk about immigration, there is no one who is illegal. We are human beings, and maybe undocumented, but it is important that one thing we will be advocating is that we respect everyone, especially our young people and the students who are going to be part of this society. And so we want that message to get out, that the language is important. We need to make sure that we're talking about our beautiful children who need to grow up in an environment. What this environment has done has made it difficult for our children of color to study in an environment that they feel welcomed, that they feel like they belong, that they feel that they don't feel like they are impinged upon every minute of the day. And what is happening is that this is trying to tell them that they are not welcome. And we are running for the school board here to say we are going to push back and we're going to say no. And that we are the candidates who will see you. As a good man once said, who was the superintendent of the Board of Education, that we see each and every student, each and every child. And it is important, no matter what your gender is, no matter what your sexual orientation is, no matter what your race is, it is important for us to say to our young people that we want to get into this fight, that they matter and we value them. And we want to make sure that yes, it is frightening to stand up. However, if we don't, they will automatically win. And our ancestors did not fight, knowing what they were going to go through, to let it fall. As we said, one step forward, not one step back. And we are going to continue to move forward as we fight, for our future. It is important And we need to understand that the Board of Education is somewhere where we need to be involved so that things like this will begin to cease to happening. The reason we continue to find ourselves here in this place is because we tend to get comfortable and complacent. Now is not the time. We need to say to this administration, we need to say to those folks who would advocate for what's going on with ICE and immigration, not at our doorstep.
Good evening, everybody. I'm very excited to be here. My name is Wisdom Cole. I proudly serve as the Senior National Advocacy Director for the NAACP. Came today all the way from Washington, D.C., because this is really the kickoff of not just a moment, but a movement, right? After the passage of the big, ugly bill, we wanted to ensure that we were empowering members of the NAACP to action, right? It's about accountability, but it's also about resource sharing. It's about ensuring that we're using the knowledge, the collective wisdom, the collective energy, right? I know it is hot in here today, but we are taking this heat and turning it into energy to ensure that we continue this fight. I want to keep it simple as we are talking about immigration. You know, as a child of immigrants, as an immigrant myself, growing up in the state of California, in the Los Angeles area, I'm not new to this, I'm true to this, right? I grew up with many immigrants. I've seen the impact that it's had in our community. And I have a couple quick things that I want to make sure that we share. One, families should not be separated. We're seeing families being torn apart, mothers and fathers, daughters and sons, people who are instrumental to our community, right? As was said before, we are a country of immigrants, right? And immigrants make our nation great. And so it's important that we support one another, which leads me to my second point. When they come for one of us, they come for all of us. When they come for one of us, they come for all of us. This is a divisive point that they're using to divide our communities against one another. This is their issue. This is that issue. This is not my issue. Frankly, this is all of our issues. Because they start with one, and we've seen this before, they continue down the line, so on and so forth. So we have to take that stand now. We have to fight back. We have to unify. We have to use the resources available to ensure that we keep us safe. And as my brother was saying earlier, my third point, nobody is illegal on stolen land. How can we go back to the days of the paper bag test and testing the one drop rule and saying who is American enough and who is not? When we look at the history of this country and we refuse to tell the truth. A good friend of mine says, God can't bless who we pretend to be. God can't bless this nation if we pretend to be something that we're not. We have to tell the truth, shame the devil, and stand up for one another. So in this moment in time, how are you going to use your privilege? How are you going to use your access? How are you going to speak up for those who can't speak for themselves? I know going back and forth between the East Coast and the West Coast, I see activists and organizers every single day on the front line fighting back against ICE raids, ensuring that people are aware about what's happening in their community. We have to use all of our collective energy to take this stand. As was said earlier, we know that elections have consequences, and we are experiencing that in real time. Right? I just came from Washington, D.C., as the National Guard was descending upon the city that I call home right now. If it's starting there, what's happening from coming to Flemington, New Jersey, from coming to Los Angeles, California, which is already there, from coming to San Antonio, Texas, and so on and so forth. So there is a collection of activists, of organizers, of members. Raise your hand if you're a member of the NAACP. Let's give it up for all our members. Membership is power, and being a part of this organization, or being a part of any organization that is organizing to ensure that people are protected not only at the ballot box but in the streets, is a part of building this movement. Again, like I said at the beginning, this is the first of many town halls that are happening across this nation to keep our elected officials accountable, to share resources, and to fight back directly. So thank you so much for being a part of this.
As we begin to transition to the next issue, I feel it is important to mention that on the issue of immigration, that Congresswoman MacGyver and Mayor Baraka were having a press conference at Delaney Hall in Newark, and as a result of that, Mayor Baraka was arrested and held, but we got him out of jail. The U.S. Attorney, Alina Habba, wanted to take Mayor Baraka to trial, but the movement was so strong, she dropped the charges. But some of these people are wicked. They just won't let go. So Habba has sued Mayor Baraka and 3 other mayors in Newark. And when their trial comes, we're going to stand by them, aren't we? Congresswoman MacGyver was also at Delaney Hall. She was not arrested, but the U.S. Attorney for New Jersey, Habba, has indicted Congresswoman MacGyver. They are taking her to trial. They think they're going to snatch her away from us. We're not going to let that happen, are we? So when it's time to go to trial, we want everybody to come out. Now I would like the panelists quickly each say one thing that people can or should do on the issue of immigration rights. One thing. Vote. Vote, okay. Something else?
Speak out.
Speak out.
Stand in solidarity, speak up for others.
I would say join an organization. If you're not in an organization, start one of your own. Be a part of something immediately. We have to be organized.
Since folks took mine, I'm going to say care. Care.
All right, that's your mic. And the thing that I would add, get the New Jersey legislature to pass the Immigration Trust Act. We got to get that passed. All right, as we now going to the next topic, and this is on the 2025 Budget Reconciliation Bill, cuts to essential services. I'd like the panelists to address how these cuts hurt our communities, hurt our cities, our state, our nation.
Okay. You want me to start first?
Yes.
Okay. So the Congress, Republicans in Congress passed the big ugly bill. They passed the reconciliation bill as well, both dangerous to the American people, not just here in New Jersey, but all across the nation. Some of the most troubling pieces of that bill, one is it's going to take people off of health care. People are going to lose their health care. Medicaid is going to be cut. There's roughly about 17 million people who will lose their health care in this country. Here in New Jersey, Medicaid is New Jersey family care. So anybody who's getting New Jersey family care here in New Jersey, they will be impacted by this bill. They are so wicked and devious that they have set this to go into effect after the 2026 election. So many people are kind of asleep at the wheel about what is happening, what they have done, because they haven't lost health care yet. And it's supposed to go into effect right after they can get back into office. And that is why it's important for us to keep talking about it, keep bringing it up, because many people are going to be without health care. I hear a lot of people sometimes say, well, that's not me. You know, I don't get Medicaid. I'm good. You know, not going to be a problem for me. A situation like this is going to explode our entire healthcare system.
Wow.
We already see areas, rural areas, where hospitals have already announced that they are going to close because they will not be getting Medicaid payments. Many of the doctors that you go to, they're able to suffice because they get Medicaid payments. They will start to charge more. They will even go out of practice as well. Premiums will go up because of this. So you, on your employer, your job or whatever, you might start to see higher payments coming out of your check for health care that is already expensive. And so it literally, this is going to be a problem for every one of us, no matter if we get Medicaid or not. The second thing that this bill does is it strips SNAP benefits and programs that support SNAP benefits. So you're talking about a 30% decrease of SNAP benefits, which is about $300 million. People who get food assistance, a lot of seniors sometimes, they get food assistance because Social Security doesn't cover it all for them. They will see an extreme decrease or be kicked off of SNAP benefits. This is a problem. In the richest country in the world, we should not be talking about people not having access to food and not having health care. Right. But this is what Republicans have decided to do. Many Republicans now saying, hey, that was a bad idea. You know, maybe we need to reconsider after they voted for it. A few other things that it does is it, number one, increases and changes the student loan program. So many kids are in school now who are getting student loans. Many folks who have loans now, it's reshaping it so folks' payments are going to be extremely high. Some average students might see an increase of about $1,500 on their monthly bill for their student loan payment. I mean, how could anybody afford that? Right. That is insanity. And then another thing it does is it increased ICE budget bigger than some small country militaries.
That's right.
So now not only are they were already, you know, operating unlawfully, but now they got more money in their budget to do more dangerous things, to be more unhinged in this country. And so those are some of the biggest pieces of this big ugly bill and the things that they are doing. Some things that they did too, they put some new requirements, because this is just how kind of delusional and unaware of these leaders are in Congress. They put requirements like work requirements for Medicaid, for SNAP benefits and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, we try to remind them that there's something in this country called the working poor. Right. There are people who work every day, sometimes more than one job, who have to get Medicaid. They have to get SNAP benefits because all of their income is literally going to just paying rent. Right. Which is high. And I would say something else, but I'm in a church today. It's on purpose that y'all brought me here today, so I'm going to be on my best behavior. But those are some of the things that are most dangerous in this big ugly bill, in the reconciliation bill.
That's excellent. Very good. Actually, the Congresswoman really said everything, you know, but what we need to understand, this is one of the biggest wealth transfers in the history of this country that's happening now, from working people to the extremely rich. So you're watching some of the richest people in the world taking food from some of the most marginalized people in this country as well. Just speaking from Newark, you know, the average income of residents in Newark is about $37,000, $38,000 a year. You know, obviously SNAP benefits, Medicaid, housing is a big part of the things that people need. This is going to cause incredible disruption in people's lives. And what will have to set in is local, state, and county resources to help people or pull people out of an economy that has exploded in their very face, that a floor that's been pulled out from under them, which obviously, as the Congresswoman alluded to, puts a strain on the pockets, on a budget that already exists, and will create other kinds of levels of tension around the state, not just economic tension, but social tension as well, when people are explaining this thing in a way that creates more division and not less, right? As people have to pay more to take care of working people in this state who are already suffering, who will be suffering more because you just took the floor right from under them. Very, very difficult because many of the folks in Newark pay at least 30%, if not 50% of their income on rent, right? Which means that, as the congressman pointed out, there's very little room to be able to spend money on other things. And when SNAP is taken away without any explanation, without any end in sight, people are going to, crash out. They're going to try to figure out what's happening, what should they do. You're talking about small children who are not going to be able to get food because SNAP benefits will be gone, right? You're talking about, us, this country, taking millions, billions of dollars from working class families and giving it to the super wealthy. And we're not as outraged as we should be. There's not the level of outrage that we see. We have to have a level of outrage that I'm not just witnessing, because what is happening before our very eyes as they try to steal the 2026 election in front of us. They've already, they predicted this in the Project 2025. So this is not new. People read this before it actually is taking place, and now it's actually taking place. I think that we believe in the rule of law so much in this country that we believe that things are going to just happen the way they should happen, that we don't do anything. We think it's just going to take place. And obviously, the thing that's taking place is what they want to take place. They are pushing their agenda very violently on the backs of the people in this country. And we're witnessing it right here. We're witnessing it and we're seeing it. Redistricting states so that they can have more Republican districts. Right. I mean, this is insane what's happening. It's almost like out of a dystopian novel that you're reading, that these people are doing this in front of us, right? That we're observing this happen right now. And so ultimately, the state budget is already in trouble. The state budget is in trouble because in New Jersey, we've been giving billions of dollars to the super wealthy at the expense of middle class and working class families before Donald Trump.
Oh.
And now, with Donald Trump's bill in 2026, this will add an additional burden to the lives of the people in this room, and we'll be blaming some fifth grader in a poor city in New Jersey for getting school funding as the reason your medical bills and your taxes are going up, and the people who are robbing us are getting away scot-free.
So here's what I worry about. So you're employed, and we're looking at the economy, which is pretty shaky right now. Let's just face it, he's even used the word Great Depression. So you're fine right now, but you lose your job. And your spouse loses their job. And then all of a sudden, you have to turn to unemployment, and you only get so much of that.
That's right.
Then you're dipping in your 401k, but you still have to pay for health insurance, which is astronomically high.
Right.
And then you have kids that are in college, or you have kids that are in high school, or you have kids that have dreams, or you have whatever the case may be. And or you are a senior who is about to retire or retired, and you only have so much.
Right.
That's what I worry about with this bill, right? I worry about that what people are basically one check away from being in poverty. And it's no one wants to call the baby ugly, but sometimes the baby is ugly, and this is one of those cases, right? So I worry about the kids. I worry about the college kids. I worry about those who are coming out with so much debt that even if they want to get an apartment, they've got to live with several people, or they got to go back home to live.
Yep.
I worry the fact that they don't have health care and something tragic happens and they don't, and then they're even more in debt. right? So I think what this has done, I think from my standpoint, what this has done is that it has said, we don't care. It is the have and the have-nots. And by the way, this whole concept started with Reagan. I don't know if you guys remember this, but it started with Reagan. This absolutely started with him, and it just snowballed because people took their eye off the prize and didn't realize what he was doing. But I lived in Washington, D.C. from the transition of Reagan, from Carter to Reagan, and I remember exactly what happened. And I remember exactly what he said, and I remember exactly what he's done, and then it just carried through. And then all of a sudden, it just kept flip-flopping, flip-flopping, flip-flopping. But this has been planned for years. This didn't just happen for Donald Trump.
Right.
He's just exacerbating it, right? But it happened a long time ago. So when you see healthcare, when you see pharmaceutical, when you see this, when you see that, that's all a part of what's been happening for years and years and years. What I do believe that, again, and I point right back to young people and I point back to senior citizens as well, because I think if we are pissed off enough and we start saying absolutely not, that's when things are going to happen. I've been to, I know people have gone to rallies and the whole bit, and people are starting to talk, right? And when it starts hitting their pockets, so maybe it hasn't hit their pocket yet, but inadvertently it has, because all these companies are starting to lay off. Mm-hmm. The tariffs are coming, and just think about what tariffs are doing to the bottom line. And once you start touching my bottom line, that means people have got to go. You've just got to go. But where are they going, right? Look at what's happened in Washington, D.C. For years, I've worked with just about every branch of the federal government, every branch in a different capacity. I worked with them. I didn't work for them, just to be clear. So I know people who, like from the State Department, the Marine Corps, and the Army, and the whole 9 yards, who lost their job overnight.
Yep.
Lost it. I mean, I got phone calls going back and forth. Like, what do I do? Because now you're terrified. You're terrified. I live in Washington, D.C., which is not cheap to live in, first of all, right? And so I have that. I have kids in high school. I have kids in grade school. I have this mortgage. I have this and this. And so it went from this to this. That's what's scary to me. So and then when we talk about Medicaid, I just can't get my head around that at all. It's just like I'm just so dumbfounded by this whole thing, because these people have parents. These people have parents. They have aunts and uncles. If one of their kids, something happens to one of their kids where they are in an accident or they fall off something or they have a debilitating disease and the whole bit, guess what they're going to go on? Guess who's going to take care of them? They're not going to take care of them because they don't make that kind of money. They're going on to Medicaid. So what do they do about that? This is my whole thinking. It's like I just don't understand. But I do believe, because I have to believe, because that's the only thing you got is believe. I do believe that the chickens will come home to roost. I do believe that. I believe you can only do this for so long, and it is going to be payback time. That's what
Since the passage, or since the affirmation of the Brown v. Board of Education decision, public education has been under attack. This bill goes after it in spades. And so as a Board of Education candidate, the concern for me is, we all know, once funding gets cut, the folks who are going to suffer the most. And so therefore, as a Board of Education candidate, I'm concerned about the cuts to Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, Title V. Mm-hmm. If you don't know what those are, you need to really look those up. It is very important, and especially in a school district like ours, it's going to be important for us to have candidates or to have board members who are going to have a voice in that room that says, if our funding gets cut, here's how we're going to deal with it. And so we need folks there who are going to think rationally, not ideologically, not who are already against public education to begin with. And so we need to make sure that we have individuals who will be a voice for those who are on the margins, because we know that they will be the first one to be dropped off. So therefore, Wallace, Williams, and Bryce will fight for that.
All right. All right.
I really appreciate this question, talking about the big ugly bill, and I want to actually connect it to the next question around diversity, equity, and inclusion. When I think about these attacks that are happening on education, on careers, on all these spaces that we've spent pretty much the last decade creating opportunity to ensure that there is equity across the board. These attacks on DEI were really attacks on our social safety nets, right? As was talked before, you recognize in the 30s the formation of these safety net programs, and then specifically for black folks in the 60s and 70s, actually coming into receiving those social safety nets, right? People being able to actually use that to help better their lives. And so as we're seeing this onslaught, right, a lot of this was distraction tactics, ways in which they could take some of our fundamental rights, things necessary to continue to keep our families afloat, and remove that. And so part of our job now is to really come together to ensure that the people who are doing direct support, direct resource share, are able to continue to give the resources necessary for people to thrive. What I mean by that is ensuring that we all have a place and space, that we all continue to raise our voice, that we all continue to use our power at the ballot, but more so that we continue to challenge those in power to do right. Our constituents are hurting. Our constituents are struggling. I appreciate you, Congresswoman, for talking about student debt, because for the last 4 years, the NAACP has been at the forefront of ensuring that we cancel student debt. And under the Biden administration, we were able to see over $188 billion in student debt be canceled, impacting over 5 million borrowers. We did that in 4 years. In less than 6 months, we've pulled all that back.
Wow.
Over 5 million people are in default in this moment in time. And by the end of summer, it's probably going to double. That impacts people's credit score, their ability to become homeowners, business owners, but more so our efforts to reduce the racial wealth gap in America are being cut at the seams. So again, we're facing this physical, economic, and moral question. And in my opinion, what we're seeing right now is economic violence. We're seeing direct assaults to our pockets, to our wallets, to our communities, to our safety, in a place where we all should feel safe, where we all should feel that opportunity. And so we have to be critical about the issues that we're fighting for. We have to galvanize our community to recognize the impact that has on each and every single one of us. Oftentimes we see in these spaces, people are like, again, this is not my issue, this is somebody else's issue, but again, they will come for you. You are next on the list. So what are you going to do now to change that for the future generations and the current generation?
All right. Very quickly. Let's start from that end. Quickly. Rapid fire. One thing people can do about these budget cuts.
Contact your legislators. Ensure that your legislators are using their power right now. You know, y'all are here. It's in district recess. And so you're engaging, asking questions. But more so, right now, we need you to talk with your state legislators, with your organizations that you're part of, and what is the direct support that people can do for people in need.
Be informed about what the budget cuts are, and push your legislators, as Wisdom said.
protest, protest, and protest. And I do think it's protests with young and seniors. I do think that is who's going to drive this is young and seniors. We've got the women who are doing it, but we need that whole group to protest.
I would echo that. We need the protests, and we need a broad-based coalition. I went to a bunch of these rallies all over the state of New Jersey, all the No Kings rallies, the other rallies, not very diverse. We have to figure out how to make these rallies more diverse, how to go into communities and get people out and in these rallies so they're bigger and larger. That's what we need to do. Without a broad-based coalition, we're going to lose.
And I would add to stay woke and encourage people to stay woke. There's an anti-woke campaign being ran by this administration and this president, and he wants you to be asleep. And so you have to stay woke, stay informed, and encourage those in your circles to do the same thing.
And we need to look at all the Congress people's voting records, and those that voted for this big ugly bill, we need to vote them out. That's what we need to vote them out. All right, we're on the last topic here, on the assault on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we'll start with you, Congresswoman, your views on the matter. And I would urge the panel to go directly to what you think we can do about it.
So, one, obviously, I do not support the ban of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think it's truly an assault on, number one, black and brown people. It's assault on women. It's an assault on our LGBTQ community, our disabled community, and folks need to be clear about that. Right now, I hear a lot of people talking and they're like, hey, you know, oh, they want you to stop hiring black and brown people, but diversity, equity, and inclusion just doesn't support or protect black and brown people. All of the folks that I just mentioned, they are within that class and they are impacted. By the way, data shows that many folks who have benefited from diversity, equity, and inclusion have been white women. Literally. That's what the data shows. And so it's important that we stand up against this, that we continue to speak out against this. It's all of the things we talked about. The rapid fire question that we keep getting, it goes for everything. It goes for all of these attacks, that we must continue to be the guardrails to this administration and speak out about it. We have to protest, we have to continue to fight back in all of the capacities that we can, whatever your capacity is, because it's honestly some BS. And this is the way that the president shows that he is a bigot. This is his way, through different ways of saying everything is because diversity, equity, inclusion. Anything bad happens is because of that. I mean, a plane went down. A plane. 2 planes. Lives lost. And the first thing out of this fool's mouth is, it was because diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know, this is what we're dealing with, wicked cruelness, you know, and honestly, quite frankly, just stupidity. And we have to continue to do all that we can to fight against it.
Right. So getting right to what you should do, you definitely should make sure that diversity does not leave the education system. Make sure they're not banning books in your community or neighborhood. Right. Support people on the school board who support these ideas. Make sure they're teaching everything that we fought for in this country, whether it be Chicano studies, African American studies, women's studies, labor studies, LGBTQ studies. Make sure diversity is in the schools. Stop supporting companies that are getting rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Stop giving them your money. Stop shopping at their stuff. Stop going to those places. Go to places. There's always an alternative for you to go to. You like ice cream, go to Ben & Jerry's. Leave the other folks alone. At the end of the day, you have to support people that are supporting you. It's very clear to me what we need to be doing. Make sure that we understand that the fight for diversity, equity, and inclusion is not just socially and politically wrong, it's economically dumb, right? At the end of the day, it makes no sense for our economy. If you had a lemonade stand, you're going to sell your lemonade to whatever car pulled up in front of the place and not decide which one you're going to sell it to because the people in the car. At the end of the day, New Jersey's the residents of New Jersey, the demographics of New Jersey, almost half of the people in the state identify themselves as black, brown, or mixed race. That means that there are people in our community who feed our economy who do not identify strictly as white male, right? And so it's important economically that we fight for diversity, equity, and inclusion all around. And I'm going to say this last thing James Baldwin said, and this is the best thing we could do to fight all of this stuff. James Baldwin said, as long as you think you're white, I'm going to be forced to think I'm black. The reality is, we would rather you be American and not white. White has become this kind of thing that has given people privilege and separate people from everybody else. And as long as that becomes the fundamental thing that this country is pushing, this kind of white supremacy, everything else is the enemy. So the reality is, what they're saying is that nobody's qualified to do anything unless you're white, male, and Protestant. This is wrong. This is absolutely wrong, right? And so it doesn't even make sense. Maybe 90 years ago, it might have made sense to a few people. It makes absolutely no sense in 2020, 25. So the first thing we can do is stop being white and be American. We can do that. And once you identify as an American, whether it's Irish American, Italian American, Polish American, Jewish American, African American, Chicano American, Latin American, once you identify as an American, then everybody else is a part of that. Then you have to get into this silly fight that these people have put us in.
So let's be clear. This all started because Barack Obama won twice. This is how it all started. Because the audacity for a black male to be president of this country, when you guys were supposed to be slaves and underprivileged and not smart and et cetera, and not only once, but twice. And so that just raised this whole scare tactics of, oh my God, now we have black and brown people and women taking over. And so the white male population is shrinking, right? And so that becomes the terrorist of it all. It's that I am afraid that you are taking away my power, because it's all about power here. I look at this again from a local level and what happens on a local level. You know, I will say this, that I am extremely proud of our council, because we is one rope in one direction. And we, with the exception of a person, and that's okay, but one rope, one direction, and we are fighting for all of this, right? So I do believe, and I challenge this mayor every single day, because the bottom line is that when you have inclusion, you have prosperity. It just equals the same thing. You cannot exclude people, you've got to include people. They spend their money, they go shopping, they open up small businesses, they hire people, et cetera, right? And so that's what we try to encourage, the diversity of businesses coming here, and so people feel free to shop here. There is a Target that was just built here in Raritan of no interest, And it's like, no, like, why, like, of course, people are going to shop, but it's like, if you're going to exclude us, I am not giving you my money. It goes back to exactly what he says, and I agree with him. If I can't get it at this place or that place, you know, that's one of the things why Costco said, oh no, we are going to keep this. We are going to keep this. A, because they believe it, but B, they knew that that would be a financial mistake if they didn't do it. Because 2 + 2 has never been 6, it's always been 4. So I look at this as several different things. I look at this again, and this is where the protest comes in again, because, and this is where young people come in again. And that is that this is what we want. This is the country that we want. This is not the country we want you to have. This is the country we want. So we want these books. We want this. We want this. We're going to organize this in high school. We're going to organize this in elementary school. We're going to organize this. This is where it all starts, right? But I also think that local government has got to get involved in this as well. It can't be left up just to, because if the local puts pressure on the state has got to do something eventually. If its states are doing something, then it's got to flow up. But if the local's not involved, then we've got a big disconnect, because then you're just listening to everything. The other thing I will say is stop listening to Fox News. Stop listening to this person, that person, because stop being lazy about this and read for yourself and research yourself. Just research, just read it. But people depend on people to give them information, and that becomes the word of God. And the other, if you're going to listen to this station, why not listen to this station? Because at least it gives me a thing to think, well, wait a minute, maybe there is something to this. Or maybe I should dispel this. So I just think this is a big, big issue that started again when Barack got elected. And all of a sudden, everybody's running towards it. And this guy's like, oh, no. We don't want to give him any credit at all. So we're going to snatch back everything. And that's where I think this is all happening.
I would say that a few things that you can do. First of all, be unapologetic about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Stop fighting their narrative. Understand what the real narrative is. Ignore their narrative. It's false. So why waste time with their narrative of what DEIA is? It is, it's projection. I mean, look at the cabinet that he has come up with. Completely unqualified individuals.
Right.
Fired, black generals who had worked for years and who were qualified. We've got to stop believing ourselves that DEIA actually is about inferiority. We've got to start now understand what it really is. The whole purpose of it was because people who were of color were denied access, were denied ability to go into education, to get jobs, who are intelligent. And so therefore, you need to know how to have a narrative that you ignore what they say and present a different narrative for them. Not just for them, but for people who are listening. You will be surprised at how you will affect others if you just present a different narrative. And the true narrative is that diversity, equity, and inclusion benefits all of us.
Go ahead, Pastor.
Really quickly, a couple things. What we're also noticing and seeing in this fight, that this is also a fight around language, right? The different terminology that we're using. You see it's DEI. If you're talking about DEI, say the full thing, diversity, equity, and inclusion. You see universities across the nation are changing what these offices are called. The Office of Community and Belonging. Ways in which people are using this moment in time to preserve the things they've fought for, the resources they've gotten for their students, for the community. And so be very attentive to language. Councilman Parker, I thank you so much for talking about local victories. One of my biggest philosophies in organizing is that local victories inform the national narratives. The wins that we see across the country on the local level will determine the future of this nation, will determine the narrative that we push, right? To speak to some of our friends at Dream Defenders, they talk about how freedom needs fighters. More than ever, we need you to organize. We need you to bring more people into this space. If you've been touched by anything that has been said tonight, in the next town hall, in the next space, who are you bringing with you? Because the more diverse minds we have in the room, the more diverse minds we have in the space, the more we're able to truly make decisions for all of us as Americans, right? And last but not least, we have to dream of a new America. What do I mean by that? Next year is the 250th anniversary of America. We've been operating in this country, we've been voting in this country, we've been debating in this country, we've been fighting in this country. As we reach our 250th birthday or anniversary, who do we want to present to the world that we are? Because I see a diverse nation with diverse skills, diverse thoughts, diverse abilities, people who have been able to strive and thrive for more. As we reach that pinnacle, the defining moment, we have to show the rest of the world the nation that we've become. Even though our history may be difficult, may be wrong, may be oppressive, who is the nation that we've grown to become? And that starts with you and me.
Well, brothers and sisters, we have come to the end of our program. Let's give our panel a great big hand. Give them a great big hand. Give them a great big hand. Somebody say power to the people. Say power to the people. Say power to the people. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I'm going to turn it over to Guy, who's going to close us out. But let me just say, as we prepare to leave, that this month on the 28th of August will be the anniversary of the 1963 March on Washington, when 250,000 people braved the terror of the Ku Klux Klan to come out of the South, to come out of the North, to come from around the nation, and to march on the Lincoln Monument and demand that the federal government pass a Civil Rights Act. And that movement was successful. You know, it seemed hopeless because a few weeks after that, they bombed the 16th Street Baptist Church, and they killed 4 little girls. And people said, when will it ever end? We won't succeed, but they kept going, and the following year, they passed the Voting Rights Act of 1965. There was a war in Vietnam. It looked like it would never end, but people organized, marched on the Pentagon, and ended the war in Vietnam. There was a place called Apartheid, South Africa. Nelson Mandela was in jail for 27 years. They said, he'll never get out. People all over the world rose up and demanded an end to apartheid, and Nelson Mandela walked out of Portsmouth prison. I'm telling you, we have the power. The people came together on the 28th of August, 1963. They had a multinational movement. Black people, white people, red people, brown people, yellow people together for social transformation. I believe we can build that kind of movement today, and that we must build that kind of movement today. The other day, someone looked on the website of the Library of Congress, and sections of the Constitution of the United States were missing. Sections that have to do with checks and balances on the executive, the president. Sections that had to do with habeas corpus, that we have a right to a fair hearing, that we can't be seized without a warrant for our arrest. They erased it. It's been put back. But it's a symbol of what's going on in this country. We have a fascist movement in this country. My father, Lawrence Ham, fought in World War II. He's buried in the veterans section of Glenfield Cemetery in Bloomfield, New Jersey. He fought against fascism. Many of you in here have relatives, have fathers and grandfathers, brothers and sisters perhaps, who fought Hitler and the Nazis in World War II. If we would send our fathers and our brothers, our sons and our daughters abroad to fight fascism, we should not countenance fascism here in the United States of America. So let us build this movement. Let us work together. On your way out, hug somebody, because that somebody is your fellow freedom fighter. Freedom now. Freedom now. Freedom now.
Three quick calls to action. Things that we can do right here in the county. Next Tuesday at 5 p.m., August 19th, at the Hunterdon County Complex on 71 Main Street, Building 1, second floor, right here in Flemington. Civic engagement means showing up and asking our county commissioners how they feel about what we have been talking about tonight. What do you think about that? Mr. Barack has been to that meeting. Call to action number 2. Introduce yourself to at least 3 new people tonight when we break, and ask them what's at the top of their mind and what they're doing here locally to push back. And number 3, please join us in the fellowship hall. We've got pizza, we got water, we got an education committee table with some candidates for your local Board of Ed sitting at it who would love to talk to you. And I'd just like to wrap up by thanking, once again, all branches of the NAACP here in New Jersey who were with us to support us tonight. Thank you all for your solidarity. God bless you. And one more word from our president.
All right, I have a 4th assignment. Don't keep this a secret. Share it with someone. Tell them what you experienced, tell them what you learned tonight, and bring someone to the next event. Do not keep this to yourself. Share it. Share the love.